Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
Friday mornings had a rhythm. The soft hum of city traffic, the warm aroma of espresso, the familiar sound of Erin's heels alongside Madeline's as they walked the now well-worn path to their coffee shop. 3 weeks into her new life, and Erin had settled into routines that would have been unimaginable to her former self. The morning ritual of selecting an outfit, today a fitted emerald blouse and cream pencil skirt that hugged her curves in a way that felt both professional and subtly alluring. The practiced motions of applying makeup, foundation, concealer, a sweep of neutral shadow across her lids, mascara that made her eyes pop, a tinted gloss that made her lips look fuller, the gentle spray of perfume at her wrists and neck, something with notes of vanilla and jasmine that lingered just enough to notice but not enough to overwhelm. The city sidewalks were crowded as always. Morning commuters hurrying to their destinations with that particular Friday energy, a blend of end-of-week exhaustion and weekend anticipation. The spring air was crisp but comfortable, carrying hints of flowering trees and the ever-present urban undercurrent of exhaust and coffee. Erin was mid-sentence, something about the office printer being cursed and possibly haunted, when Madeline nudged her arm and murmured, 12 o'clock. And then it made this ungodly shrieking noise and started spitting out pages from last week's reports, which I'm pretty sure means it's either sentient or possessed by the ghost of. Erin paused, following Madeline's gaze. What? Erin didn't have to look. She felt it. That shift in the air, that sudden awareness, that inexplicable sixth sense that had developed over the past week, a Michael detection system that operated on some frequency beyond rational explanation. Michael, tall, smiling, holding the door open for them like clockwork. He wore a charcoal suit today, impeccably tailored to his broad shoulders and trim waist, with a light blue shirt open at the collar. His dark hair was slightly tousled, as if he'd run his hand through it moments before, a small imperfection that somehow made him even more attractive. "Morning, ladies," he said, voice smooth as ever. I was beginning to think I'd have to drink my coffee alone today. The familiar velvet rasp of his voice sent the same ridiculous shiver down Erin's spine that it had every day this week. 4 days of texts, morning coffee encounters, and increasingly flirtatious exchanges, and she still wasn't immune to the effect of that voice. Madeline rolled her eyes. "Relax, Romeo. We're here now. And 5 minutes early, I might add," she continued, checking her watch with exaggerated precision. Which means either the space-time continuum is broken, or Erin actually picked an outfit in under 20 minutes this morning. "I resent that implication," Erin replied, finding her voice despite the fluttering in her chest. "I'm very efficient. You tried on 3 different shoes with that skirt," Madeline countered. "I timed you." "Wardrobe curation is an art," Erin defended herself, trying not to smile. "And I notice you're not complaining about the results." Erin just smiled, her heart doing that annoying fluttery thing it had done every day this week. It wasn't getting any easier, this physical reaction to Michael's presence. If anything, it was intensifying, her pulse quickening, her skin warming, her senses heightening in a way that made colors seem brighter and sounds clearer. The coffee shop was bustling with its usual Friday morning crowd, harried executives grabbing their caffeine fix before meetings, remote workers claiming tables for the day, groups of friends catching up over pastries. The line stretched nearly to the door, but somehow the 3 of them always managed to time their arrival during the brief lulls between rushes. They all ordered and found their usual standing spot near the window, warm drinks in hand. The conversation flowed easily. Weekend plans, weather complaints, and some mutual roasting of Madeline's line, cutting rivalry with a passive-aggressive barista named Kyle. "He deliberately makes my cappuccino dry," Madeline insisted, glaring toward the counter where a bearded man in his 30s was steaming milk with practiced efficiency. "Ever since I corrected him on the difference between a macchiato and whatever abomination he was serving." "Maybe he's just not good at foam," Michael suggested diplomatically. "Oh, he's excellent at foam," Madeline countered. "For everyone else. For me, desert dry foam that tastes like spite and inadequacy." "You did call him a coffee criminal to his face," Erin reminded her. "And I believe the phrase, milk frothing imposter, might have been used." "I was providing constructive feedback," Madeline sniffed. "He should be thanking me for the free consulting." Michael laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." "Too late," Madeline replied with a smirk. "Anyone who makes Erin turn that particular shade of pink on a regular basis is automatically suspicious in my book." "Madeline," Erin hissed, feeling her cheeks warm on cue. "See?" Madeline gestured triumphantly. "That exact color. Like a strawberry milkshake with legs." But as the minutes ticked by, Erin felt something different in the air. Michael seemed a little more focused, a little more intentional. There was an energy about him today, a subtle intensity that hadn't been there before. He maintained his usual charm and easy conversation, but his eyes lingered on Erin a beat longer each time. And he seemed to be waiting for something, calculating his timing. The texting had escalated throughout the week, moving from casual morning messages to evening exchanges that stretched late into the night. Last night, they'd texted until almost midnight, about everything from favorite movies to childhood pets to desert island books. It had felt intimate in a way that transcended the physical distance between them, creating a connection that was both comfortable and charged with possibility. And then, just as they were about to leave, he turned to Erin. "Hey," he said casually, "are you free tomorrow night?" The question hung in the air, deceptively simple but loaded with meaning. 5 words that somehow changed the entire atmosphere. Erin's brain, static. Complete cognitive meltdown. Like someone had pulled the plug on her higher functions, leaving only white noise and panic where coherent thought should be. The words registered. Her heart definitely reacted. But her mind, complete shutdown. She blinked. Tomorrow, what?" Eloquence had abandoned her completely, replaced by a string of disconnected syllables that barely qualified as language. She could feel her face heating up, could hear the faint buzzing in her ears that signaled full embarrassment mode. Michael chuckled at her reaction, eyes warm and amused. "Tomorrow night?" he repeated patiently. "I was thinking dinner. Maybe that new place on 7th that everyone's talking about." More words. More complete sentences that required a response. Erin opened her mouth, but nothing came out except a small, strangled sound that might have been the ghost of a yes if it hadn't died in her throat. Madeline, ever the rescuer, swooped in like a pro. "She is," she said smoothly, stepping in before Erin could stammer herself into a stroke. "Message her later, with the details. I think she's a little too stunned to get more than that out." She placed a steadying hand on Erin's arm, giving it a subtle squeeze that conveyed both support and a clear get-it-together message. "Noted," Michael said, clearly enjoying Erin's deer-in-headlights expression. There was something endearing in his amusement, not mockery, but genuine appreciation for her flustered response. As if her inability to form coherent sentences was somehow charming rather than mortifying. Then, with a wink, he added, "I'll text you." The wink shouldn't have worked. On most men, it would have been cheesy, try hard, maybe even a little sleazy. But on Michael, with those eyes, and that voice, and that perfect balance of confidence and sincerity, It was devastatingly effective. Erin, still locked in internal system error, nodded slowly. Her brain had finally managed to send at least one functional command to her motor cortex, resulting in the barest minimum of nonverbal communication. Progress. Madeline grabbed her by the arm and gave her the gentlest push toward the exit. Okay, come on, robot. Time to reboot. She steered Erin toward the door with practiced efficiency, pausing only to toss a casual "see you Monday" Michael over her shoulder. Looking forward to it, he replied, raising his coffee cup in a small salute. Erin let herself be guided out, her face flaming red, her brain still catching up. The cool morning air hit her face like a splash of water, bringing with it a rush of awareness. Had that really just happened? Had Michael, the man she'd been daydreaming about for days, the one whose texts made her heart race and whose voice made her knees weak, actually asked her out on a real date? Not just coffee, but dinner at a proper restaurant. Outside, she finally spoke. Did he just? The question trailed off, as if completing it might somehow jinx the reality of what had just occurred. Yes, Madeline said, grinning. He finally asked you out. She looked entirely too pleased with this development, practically bouncing as they walked. And you completely short-circuited. It was adorable. Like watching a computer try to divide by 0. I think I forgot how to breathe. And talk, Madeline added helpfully. And blink at a normal human rate. For a second, there I thought you might need the Heimlich maneuver or possibly an exorcism. Was it that bad? Erin groaned, covering her face with her free hand. It was that good, Madeline corrected her. Men like it when women get flustered around them. It's a power thing. Makes them feel all caveman and special. You'll remember by tomorrow. Hopefully. What if I don't? Erin asked, genuine concern creeping into her voice. What if I spend the entire evening making weird noises and nodding like a bobblehead? Then he'll think you're quirky and mysterious, Madeline replied confidently. Besides, you've been texting him all week without major verbal malfunctions. Once the initial shock wears off, you'll be fine. They turned the corner toward their office building, the morning commuters streaming around them like water around stones. I can't believe this is happening, Erin said softly. A real date. With a real person. Who really seems to like me. Why is that so hard to believe? Madeline asked, her tone gentler now. You're gorgeous, smart, funny when you're not paralyzed by attractive men, and apparently quite charming via text message. It's just fast, Erin admitted. Everything's happening so quickly. That's how dating works, Madeline replied with a shrug. Sometimes it's slow and tedious. Sometimes it's a whirlwind. This feels like the good kind of fast, two people genuinely connecting, not just going through the motions. Erin couldn't stop smiling. Despite the momentary panic, despite the uncertainty of what came next, despite all the complications that lay beneath the surface of this situation, she couldn't stop the wide, genuine smile that spread across her face. He asked me out. He actually asked me out. The thought kept repeating, each iteration bringing a fresh wave of giddy disbelief. This wasn't just coffee shop flirtation anymore. This wasn't just texting. This was real, a real date, with a real man who really wanted to spend time with her. And just like that, Friday was no longer just the end of the work week. It was the beginning of something real. Something tangible and exciting and terrifying all at once. Something with potential beyond brief encounters over coffee and flirtatious text exchanges. Something that made her heart race and her palms sweat and her stomach flip in the most delicious way possible. Saturday arrived like a slow drum roll. Not with a bang or even a whimper, but with the steady, relentless tick of anticipation that had been building since yesterday morning. Each hour that passed brought Erin closer to the evening, to the date, to the moment when fantasy would collide with reality. Erin woke up early, even though she hadn't set an alarm. Her body was calm, but her mind, a full-blown circus, complete with acrobats, clowns, and what felt like several untamed elephants stampeding through her thoughts. The mental noise was deafening, a cacophony of excitement, terror, and questions she had no answers for. She lay in bed for 20 minutes, staring at the ceiling, repeating the same thought. I have a date with Michael. A real, honest-to-God date. As a woman. The words formed a loop in her brain, each repetition making it simultaneously more real and more surreal. In her former life as Ethan, dates had been straightforward affairs. Pick a nice restaurant, wear a decent shirt, maybe bring flowers if the occasion warranted it. The stakes had felt manageable, the expectations clear. This was different terrain entirely. The butterflies in her stomach weren't gentle. They were stabby. Like little gremlins with glittery knives. They poked and prodded at her insides, creating a sensation that was equal parts thrill and nausea. She pressed a hand to her abdomen, as if she could physically calm the riot happening beneath her skin. This is ridiculous, she muttered to the empty room. It's just dinner. With a person. People eat dinner together all the time. But it wasn't just dinner, and she knew it. It was a turning point. A line being crossed. The moment when this strange experiment in femininity became something more intentional. She eventually rolled out of bed and paced her apartment. Her place was clean. Because of course she deep cleaned it the night before in a fit of anxious energy, but her brain was a disaster. The previous evening had been a whirlwind of productivity born from pure, nervous energy. She'd scrubbed baseboards she didn't even know existed, reorganized her bookshelf by color, then changed her mind, and did it alphabetically. And even cleaned the inside of the microwave, a task she'd been avoiding since moving in. Her apartment gleamed with the particular shine of panic cleaning, every surface spotless, every pillow perfectly arranged. It wasn't as if Michael would even see her place tonight. They were meeting at the restaurant. But the possibility hung in the air, making her assess her living space through new, critical eyes. What do I wear? What if I overdress? What if I underdress? What if he tries to kiss me? And I freeze like a poorly written romance novel character. The questions multiplied like rabbits, each spawning 3 more, until her head was an echo chamber of hypotheticals and worst-case scenarios. What if I laugh weird? What if I get food stuck in my teeth? What if I spill wine on myself and have to sit through dinner looking like I murdered a grape? What if he realizes I'm not actually a woman, and this is all some cosmic joke, and he runs screaming from the restaurant? That last one was particularly absurd. But the fear felt real nonetheless. She texted Madeline. Erin, emergency. I don't know what I'm doing. Date, prep. Send help. The text was a digital SOS flare, shot into the ether with desperate fingers. She stared at the screen, willing the typing bubbles to appear instantly. Madeline replied in seconds. Madeline, send outfit options. I'll judge you lovingly. Relief washed over her. Of course Madeline would know what to do. Madeline always knew what to do. Erin's closet had exploded across her bed, a battlefield of rejected options, discarded accessories, and shoes that seemed to multiply every time she looked away. The floor was littered with the casualties of indecision. Tights with runs, a blouse with a button hanging by a thread, earrings without their partners. She methodically photographed her top contenders, adding notes to each image. Too casual. Too fancy. Makes my butt look good but my arms look weird. Is this color even flattering, or does it make me look jaundiced? Madeline's replies came in rapid succession, a mix of encouragement and brutal honesty. Next. God, no. That shade of yellow should be illegal on most humans, including you. Better, but still not quite right. Are you trying to seduce him or sell him life insurance? 2 hours later. The sun was higher now, streaming through the windows to cast golden rectangles across the hardwood floor. Erin had cycled through her entire wardrobe, trying combinations she'd never considered before, assessing each one with increasingly critical eyes. Erin stood in front of the mirror, in outfit number 5. She turned slowly, examining herself from every angle. The dress was new, a splurge from last weekend's shopping trip with Madeline, still bearing the faint creases from the hanger. It was a deep emerald green that made her eyes look more intense, her skin more luminous. Jeans and a cute blouse, too casual. That had been outfit number 1. Dark wash jeans that hugged her curves, paired with a silky cream blouse that draped just so. It had seemed like a contender until Madeline pointed out that it read more casual Friday at the office than first date with hot coffee shop guy. Little black dress. I'm trying too hard. The classic LBD, a fitted sheath with a subtle scalloped neckline. Simple, elegant, and according to Madeline, what every woman thinks she should wear on a first date. Which is exactly why you shouldn't. Flowy floral number 2 brunchy. A pretty wrap dress with a pattern of small blue flowers. Madeline's verdict. Save it for meeting his mother or a Sunday garden party. Now she was in a sleek, deep green wrap dress. It hugged her waist, made her feel like she had hips worth noticing. The neckline was just suggestive enough. The fabric caressed her curves without strangling them, creating a silhouette that was feminine without being overtly sexual. The wrap style tied at her waist, emphasizing the hourglass shape of her body, while the V neckline revealed just enough skin to be intriguing but not scandalous. She turned side to side, assessed her reflection, and whispered, "Is this hot or like funeral sexy?" The absurdity of the question made her laugh, breaking some of the tension that had been building all morning. What even was funeral sexy? Was that a category of dress she needed to be concerned about now? Her phone buzzed. Madeline. The green dress. Do not change. Add your gold earrings, soft waves, and your I know I'm cute, but I'm still humble lipstick. You're welcome. Madeline had an uncanny ability to read Erin's mind, even through a screen. The gold earrings were already on her dresser, and the curling iron was heating up for those exact soft waves Madeline had prescribed. I know I'm cute, but I'm still humble lipstick, Erin repeated with a smile. It was such a Madeline phrase, specific, slightly ridiculous, but somehow perfectly descriptive. Erin smiled. God bless Madeline. Without her guidance, Erin would probably still be standing in her underwear, paralyzed by indecision. Or worse, she'd have gone with outfit number 2. The professional but make it sexy blazer dress that Madeline had vetoed with a simple "unless you're planning to audit his finances after dinner." Absolutely not. There was still the matter of underwear, though. That particular decision had occupied a solid 30 minutes of her morning. Did she wear her comfortable cotton briefs, practical and sensible for a first date that would likely end with nothing more than a kiss? Or did she opt for the lacy black set Madeline had insisted she buy just in case? She'd settled on a middle ground, pretty but not overly suggestive pale pink lingerie that made her feel feminine without screaming, "I expect to be undressed tonight." She sat at her vanity, curling her hair with trembling hands. Her makeup was already done, foundation, winged liner, a soft shimmer on her cheekbones, but the lipstick was her final battle. The curling iron was hot in her grip as she wrapped sections of blonde hair around the barrel, holding for a few seconds before releasing perfect, glossy waves. She'd watched countless tutorials over the past few weeks, practicing until her arms ached and the results were finally starting to look intentional rather than accidental. She held up 2 tubes. Red, too bold. Nude, too tame. The red was gorgeous, a classic crimson that made her feel like a 1940s film star. But it also seemed like a statement, a declaration of intent that might set expectations she wasn't ready to fulfill. The nude, on the other hand, was playing it too safe. A non-choice, a way to look polished without taking any risks. She landed on a blush pink gloss with just a hint of shine. It was perfect, feminine and soft, but with enough color to define her lips, to draw attention to them without demanding it. Karma in lip gloss, she thought with a little smile, applying it carefully. There was a certain poetic justice to it all. 3 weeks ago, she'd been Ethan, observing women, dating women, completely oblivious to the intricate rituals and decisions that preceded every date. Now, she was on the other side, experiencing firsthand the elaborate preparation, the careful curation of image, the delicate balance between desire and restraint. As she leaned in, she caught her own reflection. Not just the look, but the person in it. Her. Erin. The woman in the mirror looked confident, put together, ready for a night out. There was a glow about her that transcended the careful application of highlighter. A combination of nervousness and excitement that animated her features, made her eyes brighter, her cheeks naturally flushed. She still didn't know what she was doing half the time. Still felt like she was playing dress-up in someone else's life. The learning curve had been steep. A crash course in femininity, with no manual and plenty of pitfalls. She'd mastered walking in heels without wobbling, learned to check her lipstick before drinking from a glass, discovered the mysterious art of sitting in a dress without flashing everyone in the vicinity. But today she looked in the mirror and thought, maybe this really is me. Not just a costume she was wearing, not just a role she was playing, but a version of herself that felt increasingly authentic with each passing day. The realization was both comforting and terrifying, a glimpse of something she hadn't anticipated when this strange journey began. She took a deep breath, checked the time. He was picking her up in 30 minutes, and grabbed her bag. A small leather clutch, just big enough for her essentials, phone, keys, credit card, lipstick for touch-ups, and the travel-size perfume Madeline had insisted she carry for emergency reapplication. Final touches now. Earrings in place, delicate gold hoops that caught the light when she moved. A thin gold bracelet on her left wrist. A spritz of perfume at her pulse points, something floral with hints of vanilla and sandalwood. As she sprayed her perfume, just a single mist behind each ear, her phone buzzed again. Michael, just parked. Can't wait to see you. 10 minutes early. Her heart jumped into her throat, a sudden surge of adrenaline flooding her system. He was here, outside her building, waiting for her. This was happening. Now. They. Erin read the message, smiled like an idiot, and felt the butterflies settle into something warmer. The nervous swarm transformed into a gentle flutter, still present but somehow more manageable. The gremlins with knives had been replaced by something softer, something that felt almost like anticipation, excitement, pleasure. She gave herself one final look in the mirror. A full body assessment from head to toe. Green dress, smooth and wrinkle-free. Hair falling in perfect waves around her shoulders. Makeup flawless, but not overdone. Heels comfortable enough for dinner, but high enough to give her legs that extra length. She looked good. She felt good. She was ready. Okay. Wait. Let's do this. With a deep breath and a final touch to her hair, she grabbed her clutch and headed for the door, heels clicking confidently against the hardwood floor.